Very interesting.
You guys in New York City can't get a hole in the ground fixed. And it's 5 years later.
New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin has always had a knack for saying things that upset people. But when in 2006 he said, "Hey New Yorkers, it's been 5 years since 9/11 and essentially Ground Zero is still a hole in the ground," part of the reason that set people's teeth on edge is because it really seemed true. Well, now next year we're looking at 10 years since the 9/11 attacks, and what's happening at the World Trade Center site anyway? Turns out it is the largest construction site in the United States. They are building the tallest building in the United States here, and the security stuff going on down here, mind-bending. This is very, very, very large-scale geek. Come on. So this is the One World Trade Center site, and we're here with Linda Tollner, who is the project manager for the overall One World Trade Center project. Linda, thanks very much for your time today. I can tell you're very busy.
Yes, very busy.
Give us the overview about what we're looking at here. What's the big picture on the site here?
Well, we're looking now towards what's not my site. What you're seeing here is the number 1 line subway, is this box up at our level here. Okay. And underneath it, we've been underpinning and digging below to capture that space, all the while the subway is operating.
So the subway line already exists. You're not building it, you're building around it. So people riding the one train through this station
go right through our site.
Go right through all of this.
Yes.
Blissfully unaware, hopefully.
Yes.
Now, the building that we're standing at the base of here, this is the One World Trade Center tower.
Yes.
This is going to be the biggest building in the United States?
The height of the building is actually the same height as the original World Trade Center, Tower 1. But then the antenna puts it at 1776 for the height.
In terms of doing a building project of this scale on this site, specifically here, obviously we're surrounded by working, living New York as it was and is. What are the specific challenges of trying to build something this big in a site that's this contained?
It's very challenging. Yeah. All of our programs overlap. We sometimes build things for each other. I liken it to putting 10 kids in a 10 by 10 sandbox and giving each one of them a shovel and saying, work with each other. Yeah. There's a lot of coordination that has to go on between all the different stakeholders that are on the site, because we do have operating people, the path, the one line, the traffic around the site. They're taking down Deutsche Bank building.
Deutsche Bank building is the one we see down there.
Right, that's the blue shrouded building. That's the Deutsche Bank building.
And the Deutsche Bank building was damaged in 9/11 and hasn't been brought down yet. It has to be brought down quite carefully.
Yes. Next to that limestone building there is the Vehicular Security Center. We're doing work there. We're just finished building our slurry wall, and we're going to start excavating.
What's a slurry wall?
So the way they build a slurry wall is this. They want to build a wall 60 feet down. So they start digging a hole with a special tool, and it's about 20, they do about 20-foot lengths at a time, 3 feet wide. They dig down, they go into rock if they have to, depending on the design. And as they're digging, they're filling the hole with a slurry. The slurry keeps the soil from collapsing. Okay. So then after they get the hole down to where they need it to go, they'll build a reinforcement cage on the site. It's 60 feet tall. They'll lift it up, drop it into the hole, drop it into the slurry.
Wow.
Then they'll pump concrete into the hole. The concrete is heavier than the slurry, so they'll pump the slurry out as they're pumping concrete in.
The concrete goes in, the slurry bubbles out.
Bubbles out. Right. Take the slurry out, you fill it up to the top with concrete. And you keep doing that with your 20-foot sections all the way around to create this bathtub. And then you can excavate the site without water infiltration, because we're below the water line here.
So that's why you need a bathtub wall around.
You need a bathtub to keep the water out. Yeah.
This isn't supposed to be land, really.
Well, yeah. But we're engineers. We can make that happen.
So we're standing here at the base of what's going to be One World Trade Center, and it's clear that the bottom part of the building is different than the top. This first couple hundred feet of space doesn't look like it's going to be office space. How is it different?
This bottom level here, this area here is on the very lower level is the lobby. It's a very tall lobby. It's about 50 feet tall. Above that is several levels of mechanical space, electrical equipment, mechanical equipment. So our first office space is about 187 feet up, and we call that the 20th floor.
So the 20th floor is the first floor where people are going to work.
Exactly.
The reason there won't be any offices below the 20th floor? In short, it's because everyone's worried that once again this site will be a target for terrorism. But One World Trade Center is a really, really, really hardened target. And I mean that literally. The base is built out of 60-foot-long, 70-ton steel columns, as well as super compressed concrete, really, really dense concrete, 14,000 psi. That's twice as strong as the kind of concrete that's used in most office buildings.
Come on, we gotta get to work. Let's go.
When we get up to that 20th floor, the focus of the day today will be talking about how they build a core that will hold the other 82 stories up on top of that super hardened base. So Linda, tell me what these guys are building right here. What's this sort of meshwork of rebar?
Okay, what you're looking at here is our north core. These are shear walls, concrete walls, and what they're doing is they're placing reinforcement, we call it rebar, and they're tying it off according to the design. And what you'll see later is something like what you see here.
So this is essentially the spine of the building.
Yes.
This is
fully concrete core. There's pumps we put down in the street, and we're pumping concrete up the center core.
But you need to have a spine that's this, what looks remarkably overbuilt in a comforting way. You need to have a spine that's this intense because the building is just so tall and so massive.
Because it's so tall and so massive.
So in terms of trying to understand this steel core, if anybody's at home has dealt with rebar before, they probably felt like, I've dealt with this. There's some of this in my house. When you measure rebar, you were calling that a 4-bar earlier. What does that mean in terms of size?
It's like 4/8 of an inch. So number 11 bar is 11/8 of an inch in diameter.
So a 4 is what most people are used to.
Right.
This
is a half inch. That's number 10.
Number 10, 11. This is a 20.
This is a 20 bar.
And this is the spine of One World Trade Center.
A lot of 20 bars down below. We have 20 bars going each way. They probably weigh, 18 pounds a foot. About 2.5 inches in diameter.
I am a 90-pound weakling, but that's about all I can manage with that. So you not only have this running vertically, you have this running vertically and horizontally
down below. Down below, yeah. Up here, I think is only vertical.
So you know that size 20 rebar we're talking about in terms of the steel spine of this building in order to get up 1,776 feet into the sky? What you're looking at behind me here, that's not pipe. Those aren't hollow. That's that rebar. That's solid steel all the way down and all the way up, and in a lot of cases, crosswise too. Wow. So this is the largest construction site in the country. And of course, at the heart of this construction site is the site of the World Trade Center towers that came down on 9/11. Now, we can sort of tell from up here, we're about 6 levels up now in the construction levels. You can see the footprints of the original towers. Now, the footprints of the original towers are going to be the memorial sites, right?
Those are the memorial pools. They're going to be waterfalls cascading down the sides of those depressions. What you can see now on the one pool is the black stone going up. The other pool, we're not quite as far along, but you can definitely see the 2 pools and the plaza in between the 2 pools. There'll be trees covering this plaza for the most part.
And then underground, in between the footprints of the 2 buildings, in between those 2 memorial pools, will actually be the museum about the event.
Yes.
What's incredible, what you don't realize until you're up here looking down on it, is that what this site feels like is essentially that's all at grade. That's all at ground level and even below. And everything else around it, all of these other towers, all of these other buildings, including One World Trade Center where we are now, sort of stand guard around this low ground, this street level ground that is going to be both open space and sort of solid space.
Yes. It's going to be a beautiful space.
When do you expect to get all the way to the top?
With steel, we should be up there in early 2012, with everything else following behind.
Can I ask you one really weird, totally pedestrian question?
Sure.
You've got thousands of construction workers in here. Everybody's sort of working on the same schedule. Obviously, you're working in daylight. What happens at lunchtime?
Lunchtime, a big exit to get lunch and come back, yeah.
Doesn't it take hours for everybody to get down and get lunch and then get back up?
It does take some time. We have to put extra people at the gates to scan people back in. Yeah.
Is there anywhere to eat up here?
Our steel contractor They brought in a trailer with a subway outfitted for Subway sandwich shop, and as soon as they get enough power, they're going to be able to come up to eat up at the top.
It's the very highest concepts of American symbolism and the very lowest concepts of American guttural needs all at once in the same giant building. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.